she slept with 100 men in one day. Was it fate written in the stars, or was it free will? We're going to figure out whether the stars compel or control us in this video, and why woke astrologers simply don't get it. Let's go. So this OnlyFans creator has been in the news recently, Phillips from the UK, because she did this feat of sleeping with 100 men in one day. And afterward, she apparently was crying. You know, there was a video with her, a documentary or something, where she was visibly distraught and kind of suffering from what had happened, at least it appears. And people were talking about this. It was a lot of buzz on social media. Now, normally, this is not something that I would talk to you about, but this case is especially interesting because it allows us to see and find out how astrologers think about free will and about fate and about whether the chart compels us to do certain things. This is why we're going to look at, in this video, at her chart, the chart of this person, in order to give a real answer to this, right? The second reason why it's interesting, this case specifically is interesting, is that Candace Owens actually talked to her in a kind of very gentle way, you know, and you know, not so much in order to talk to her, you know, I feel, but more in order to have an influence on all the people who might be influenced, all the young girls specifically who might be seeing this and who could be influenced, right, and who need a better role model. So I'm going to get back to this at the end of the video, and actually watch this till the end, because I'm also going to tell you who Candace Owens was in her past life. This is an extra nugget you're getting in this video. So let's talk about the astrologers and how they are experiencing, how they're presenting this issue or this person in her act. Okay, so watch this. This is an astrologer, a typical astrologer, if you will. And, you know, pay attention to how she interprets the person's Lily Phillips's chart.
So I think that it's pretty obvious she was born with sort of like that mission to do, I don't know, I strongly believe that we as an individuals are born with a specific mission in order to, not a collective mission, but more as a personal mission. And I think that's one of her, you know, missions that she's come here to do, perhaps to exploit her sexuality in a way that it will end up carrying a lot of emotional trauma and even physical trauma. But that's something she was born with. This contract is a karmic and a soul contract that she was born to do. I am nobody here to judge. I'm just analyzing the birth chart because as an astrologer, I'm very passionate about looking at these things, because as I can see, you can see it there. It's not that I'm lying. I'm not making up her birth chart. The numbers are there. The positions, astrological positions are there. And it's as obvious as you can see it. I don't know what else to say. Anyway, guys, as always, it's a pleasure.
All right, so what you can see here is what? Basically, this is the typical attitude that astrologers have these days. Woke astrologers, what I call woke astrologers, right? It's like, you know, everybody's just, you know, doing what they're compelled to do. Who am I to judge? You know, who am I to say anything about anybody, what they're doing? It's written in their chart, you know, it's written in their chart, so you just do you, right? Imagine if somebody had the same attitude towards a serial killer, let's say a serial killer, like Jeffrey Dahmer, right? You can look at his chart, and I can show you how there's lots of different constellations there that are showing that, okay, this person has all the constellations that make him a serial killer, right? So I'm going to be like, well, you know, who am I to judge, you know, you're just born to be a serial killer. You just do you. You have your karmic contract. You know, that's the attitude that, unfortunately, astrologers have established, woke astrologers have established, which has zero responsibility. There's zero responsibility for what you do, right? And it's all about, and at the same time, they're giving everybody this free pass to do you, right? To do whatever. Basically, do whatever they feel or they're seeing like is the chart is compelling them. This is very wrong. This is very wrong. And I'm going to show you why. This is wrong for two reasons. And it's just wrong. It's also bad astrology. It's bad astrology, right? It's just not going deep enough in the astrology I'm going to show you, right? It's just kind of amateurish astrology. And at the same time, it's also spiritually and more morally wrong. It's spiritually, it doesn't come from an evolved position. It comes from that limited view, which is the woke mind virus. Now, I will show you why. But in order to do that, we have to go into the charts, right? So I have to tell you by showing you, no, not her, the chart of Lily Phillips, right? Okay, so we got Lily Phillips's chart here, all right? Okay, so Lily Phillips, she's, everybody who knows astrology is going to be able to tell you that, yes, okay, there is certain constellations that are very clearly pointing towards, self-esteem issues, Sun, a Saturn with Venus exact, and there's issues around sexuality, having like this abusive relationship with sexuality, with the Pluto, Mars that is opposite that Saturn, Venus as well, right? And much more. Difficult relationship with our mother, the moon being bound up in all of that, right? And then the sun is opposite Neptune, so you're gonna have this all confusion, really not knowing who you are, not knowing what you want, right? For many years, for large parts of your life, until you figure out how to handle this energy, right? So all of this is, okay, this is, sure, it's all there, but we go deeper, right? We always go deeper here, so much deeper. So I've added the asteroids that are going to tell you far more of the exact story, because with the same constellations, you can have still so many different fates and so many different directions in destiny. So when we look at the asteroids, okay, so the story becomes very, very clear that, yes, it is actually written in her chart that what she did. It is written in her chart. I can show you here. So she's got the Venus here, the Venus with the Saturn, right? The Saturn is with Casanova, okay? The Casanova is the difficulty, right? The Venus is with Dionysus and Bacchus. Dionysus and Bacchus, right? What are these? Dionysus and Bacchus. They're basically the same. This is basically the Roman and the Greek version of the same god, of the same archetype, rather, right? It's not God. God is God, right? The archetype, the same archetype. And Bacchus and Dionysus was the energy of the orgy in ancient Greek and in ancient Rome, right? So the Dionysian feasts were like these feasts where everybody got drunk on wine and psychedelics, and they had orgies. And Bacchus festival was the same in Rome, right? There was literally like this festival, right, which was just about a massive orgy. And lo and behold, you have both Bacchus and Dionysus. Not one of them, both of them. Both basically to make sure. The Greek version and the Roman version of the god of orgies, right, is on her Venus. Is on her Venus, right? Okay. And what else? Prometheus. Prometheus is like the rebel. And Balaam. Balaam is greed. Greed for money. Greed for money. So it's written here. Greed for money, orgies, right, is on the Venus. Okay? And what else? No, you're going to say, so you're just backing up what that woke astrologer just said, like that it's written in the chart. No, wait a moment, right? Have patience. Have patience. Have patience. We'll get there. It's a story. You need to let it unfold. So, okay, so what else? What else? Nymph. Nymph is with sun. Nymph is what? The nymphs were like these, also in Greek mythology, the nymphs were these creatures that would lure men specifically into their embrace, right? In the forests, and sexual kind of creatures as well, right? That's on sun, the character who you are, right? And then that's in opposition to what? To Fama. Fama, fame, right? Fame. Fama is with Neptune. So like Neptune also could say, Neptune opposite Sun is also, could you say media, right? Media, like, media production, right? Media production. Fame, infamy as a nymph, right? Infamy as a nymph, because it's an opposition. Infamy as a nymph, right, is written here. And then you're going to say, okay, what else? Tantalus, there's even more here, where you're going to say, Okay, so you just confirmed what they were saying, right? That it's actually written in her chart. She was supposed to do this. Okay, but wait a moment. There's more in her chart. There's other things in her chart. There is far more in her chart because our charts are not so simple, right? There's always a lot going on, complex. There's a lot of complexity going on. This is pathway that was in her chart. Now there's another pathway in her chart. The second pathway I'm going to show you. The second pathway, her moon is actually conjunct Bethlehem and Christ. Okay, Christ, Bethlehem and Christ with her moon, right? So her femininity, her soul, right, has that capability of developing a very, a very benevolent, a very saintly even path, right? What else? Her son is with Madre Teresa and Concordia, okay? Concordia and Madre Teresa. Again, 2 times pointing towards a figure who could have been a creator of something that brings people closer to God. Okay, she had that potential in herself, right? She had that pathway. Madre Teresa is like the Mother Teresa, right? Mother Teresa really is also with her son. What else? There is here, not just that, she has Baucis here, Baucis, and Hehe. Hehe is like a, not hehehe, like a laughing hehe, but it's actually a Chinese symbol, which stands for the harmonious and virtuous marriage. And Baucis is the same symbol from Greek mythology. Baucis was Philemon and Baucis. They were 2 figures in Greek mythology, and they were pleasing for the gods. The gods were pleased by them. Zeus was pleased by them because they were so harmonious and so benevolent and so generous, right? They became a symbol for the harmonious and benevolent and virtuous marriage, right? Which is the same symbol as Hehe is here too, right? Hehe is the same in Chinese, the same symbol in Chinese. So you have this too. So what does it tell me? It tells me like she has 2 pathways in her chart. She has, because remember, every hard constellation, every difficult constellation, like the Saturn, Venus she has. Okay, Saturn, Venus, in the negative form, in the lower form realized, it's going to lead to self-doubt about your worth and your value, right? You're going to not love yourself and then maybe use love as a thing to make money, right? Saturn, just very business-like way of dealing with love, right? Turn it into a prostitution. Saturn, Venus, you could say. But Saturn, Venus, also in the highest form, if you're a higher realized being, Saturn, Venus can become the person who's extremely reliable in their relationships, very serious about their relationships and extremely reliable in their relationships, right? Extreme highest level of loyalty, right, in their relationships. So, and same goes for every other constellation that I showed you that this person has and everybody else has, you have in your chart. Every constellation that you have, there is forms that are the lower forms of realizing it, the more egoic forms, the more unrealized, the more selfish, the more unevolved forms, and the more evolved, the more aware, awake forms, right? That require much more transformation and work to get there. So everybody has that option. And in her chart, there's a second path. There was one path for what she did, and there was a second path for her to become a very, very virtuous woman even, right? A very virtuous woman. And then that energy, how would she have used that energy differently? That energy in the first path that I showed you. She would have had to find a completely different outlet for that, right? Maybe art, maybe creative art, right? Put that into creative art instead of something that brings down the morals and the moral fiber of people, right? Of many, many others, has an influence. She has an influence like that. She's making money. She's getting 15 minutes of fame, but she's disrupting and intoxicating the minds of and souls of a lot of people, a lot of young, vulnerable women, girls, right, who are looking up maybe to that, oh, okay, this is how we could make money, right? And that's not good, right? That's not good. So this is one reason. The one reason is that we have different pathways, and we have, even in every, there's an exception, I'll tell you, there's an exception. There's an exception. I get to that in a second. I need to tell you the second reason first. So the first reason was that We always have a choice, and there's always multiple pathways in every chart. That's the first reason why the woke astrologers are wrong. The second reason is that even if a person has extremely difficult constellations in their chart, even if a person has extremely difficult, let's again think about the case that I told you, the Jeffrey Dahmer, right? Or anybody, serial killer, right? Somebody like that. If I open this chart, I'll show you the asteroids. I'll be like, look, this person, well, they were supposed to be that, right? No, even if some person has extremely damning, extremely difficult, extremely harsh chart, constellations in their chart, they are still responsible for that. You are still responsible. You are always responsible. Why? Because this is the higher truth of reincarnation. So what you didn't do, what you are born with, you have made that decision in past lives, or even if you go before, your soul has made that decision, or the consciousness that flows through you, and in order to make this experience in this life has previously made those decisions, right? To be incarnated today with what you're incarnated with. So even if you're strongly inclined with the chart, not compelled, strongly inclined, you're still responsible. You're still responsible. That's one. Two is, this is now I can tell you to who it doesn't apply. There are some people where they don't have that two pathways anymore, right? There's some people, this is very, very few people. It's not Lily Phillips. Who are they? They are the initiates, the dark initiates, right? There are certain dark initiates who they have over many, many lifetimes decided to be on that path, on that dark path, right? They have killed within themselves any possibility over many lifetimes, right? So they've become a fallen angel, basically, right? They are fallen angels as humans, incarnated as humans, right? Over many lifetimes, going back all the way to the origin, right? They have made that choice to be on that side. And then for them, it's different. But this is a very, very small part of people, right? This is not generally your general person. This is a very, very small minority, right? Elite cabal of people. Now, that being said, so I've told you the both reasons, right? There is pathways always in your chart to do it differently. Secondly, you're still responsible, even if in your chart there is difficult pathways, right? Now I can tell you finally about Candace Owens. So Candace Owens talked to her in a very gentle kind of way, very nice, right? Very nice. And she was talking to her, and Candace Owens, if you watch the interview, you will see it. Candace Owens was feeling this. She was saying to her, don't you feel that you could have had a marriage, and you could have been a wife and a mother, and you could have had a completely different life, and you could have been somebody, who elevates a lot of people, right? And lives a very life with integrity and purity, and that's now closed off to you, right? You will have this blemish now forever, right? This is now closed off in this incarnation for you. Now, Candace Owens, why did she say that? Did she look at the astrology? No, Candace Owens doesn't, probably not, look at the astrology of this person. No, but Candace Owens felt this through her higher intuition. Why? Because Candace Owens, actually, she, in her previous incarnation, she was the Venerable Augustus Tolton, who was the first African-American Catholic priest. And at the same time, he is now on the way to sainthood. He's acknowledged by a lot of people as a saint of his time. And that was actually not the first incarnation of Candace Owens, where she already had reached a very high level of spiritual realization. She had many other incarnations in other videos. We're going to look at that. And shout out to Frank Felber, the seer from Austria, who has provided this valuable information as well on this particular case on Candace Owens. Now, conclusion. The conclusion is that the woke mind virus, unfortunately, has infected a lot of astrologers. And astrologers are, everybody, when an astrologer you see and they say, just do whatever, do you, it's written there. And so they're basically just justifying whatever you're already doing. And when you go to consultation with these astrologers, all they do is they will justify all of your vices. Whatever it is that's wrong in your life, they will find some way to say, oh, that's fine, it's written there, you do you're cool, And that kind of, some people will pay for that. They will be happy with that kind of advice, right? They will be happy with the kind of advice that just allows them to have all their vices and continue, doing whatever is wrong in their lives, right? Because they will feel better, will a little fix to feel better about themselves, but you will not evolve that way. You will not have a real spiritual evolution. If you work with somebody who has your actual evolution at heart, it might be difficult sometimes. It might be even sometimes a little bit challenging. But they will always point you out to things that help you grow, right? They will be like a friend who is a mirror. A real friend is going to be a mirror to you. A real friend is not going to be a sycophant. It's not going to be somebody who says, oh, you're good, everything you do is good, right? A real friend will tell you sometimes that, hey, look, this is, have a look at this, this is, maybe you can improve on this, right? So that's similar. It's very similar. Just a reminder, guys, I have a personal forecast for 2025, strategic forecast out that is very special. And right now, until January 12th only, if you get that, it comes along with a 40-page report on numerology, Western astrology, Chinese astrology, all integrated into a new type of revolutionary report, Ascension report it's called. And that comes along with the personal forecast only for a very limited time right now. So go check that out. It's ultrasapient.xyz/master2025. Link's going to be below as well. And I wish you, well, that's it. I wish you all the best and be well, be blessed. I see you next time.